Now, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are, where they come from, do they love us? In a lot of cases, no, they don't love us.
Well, President-elect Donald Trump, of course, ran promising, among other things, major immigration reform. Bill Stock, president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, his organization, paid for this satellite time. What have you seen before, leading up to the election of Donald Trump, and since Election Day in your industry?
The biggest thing we're seeing right after the election was a lot more anxiety in immigrant communities. People not knowing whether family members will be able to stay in the U.S., people concerned about what they're facing.
Much has been made of the illegal immigration problem. The estimate 11 to 13 million illegal immigrants in this country. Your organization deals a lot with legal immigrants. They were worried as well. They are here legally. They've got visas. They've got work permits. They're worried as well.
They sure are. I was giving a presentation at a hospital that we represent. The medical residents were concerned about whether they would be allowed to finish their training in the United States. One pulled me aside afterward and said, "You know, I'm Christian, but I'm from Pakistan. Do I have anything to worry about?" So that's the kind of anxiety that the rhetoric has caused in these communities.
Donald Trump promised to reverse some of the executive orders, the executive actions by President Obama. Are there ones that you see as likely suspects in which that may happen, and what would be the impact of those reversals?
Well, the first one that we're, of course, concerned is going to be revoked is the one for the deferred action for the childhood arrivals. These were the young folks who were brought to the United States by their parents, often at very young ages before they could be part of that decision. They've been raised here. You know, we've paid to educate those children. We've invested in their future. So the DACA program was really a recognition that that group of young people was the lowest priority for deportation. And with that, we gave them work authorization so they could support themselves in the United States. Congress hasn't yet provided a path for those folks, although Senator Graham, a Republican from South Carolina, did just introduce a bill that would do that. So we think that you know, that's the executive action that we most think is going to be overturned, but quickly affect 700,000 people throughout the country, and of course the businesses that they're working for, the colleges that they're attending.
Now, Donald Trump has since softened some of his stands, but not on one category, which is the highest category, and the highest category under President Obama as well, which is criminal illegal immigrants, who both would agree should either be sent back home or sent to prison, and I suspect you would not disagree with that.
Well, obviously, you know, those statutes provide that people convicted of various crimes are not able to remain in the United States, whether they're undocumented or whether they're legal immigrants who've allowed that to pass. But, you know, I think the law also provides that if it's a minor criminal offense and a person has a long residence or ties here, that they should be allowed the opportunity to show why they should be able to stay. So our biggest concern is that in these enforcement efforts, all immigrants get a full and fair hearing, just like we would expect from any other kind of American law.
Bill Stock, thanks very much, president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and we have a link to your organization on fox4news.com. Thanks for your time.